Hello ladies and gentlemen, Big Daddy Top Hat here. Over the course of months on this channel we have looked at a vast array of different beat-em-ups. One of the kings of this genre in the golden age was of course Capcom, the company behind successful gaming titles such as Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, Captain Commando and the Final Fight series. All of these games are considered great beat-em-ups, but there is yet another fantastic title from the medium which we are yet to discuss. As the title suggests, that game in question is Alien vs Predator, an arcade exclusive that serves as one of the company's most beloved games. In fact, the title is popular enough that it even topped my recent Patreon poll with regards to which game I will cover today. So, as chosen by the Patreon backers, this, ladies and gentlemen, is the mad story of Alien vs Predator, a game that many people cite to be Capcom's greatest arcade beat-em-up. Yeah! Just like Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, Alien vs Predator is another Capcom arcade title that was based on an existing license, or licenses I suppose in this game's case. Whilst the Alien vs Predator movie would not hit theatres until 2004, the game would arrive 10 years earlier, back in 1994, which at first glance may seem bizarre, but this will all make more sense once I give you a little bit of context. As we know, Alien and Predator were two completely separate franchises. The science fiction horror film known as Alien, directed by Ridley Scott, would first arrive in cinemas in 1979. The film would go down in history as an all-time great for its combination of revolutionary special effects and the story concept. The movie, that features a crew exploring a derelict alien ship, will always be remembered for the level of suspense it delivered to the audience, and of course that famous chest-popping scene. The success Alien would receive would result in many movie sequels, novels, comic books, video games, and of course toys. In 1987, Predator, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger and Carl Weathers, was released. This movie, which is also well celebrated today, features a plot consisting of a spacecraft flying near Earth which releases an object into Earth's atmosphere. Later in the movie, in a Central American jungle, a wreckage of a helicopter is discovered with 3 skinned corpses nearby. The movie focuses around an alien creature who is killing humans for sport, and is notable of being the only film in history to star 2 future state governors. Arnold Schwarzenegger, a future governor of California, and former WWF wrestler Jesse Ventura, who would go on to become the governor of Texas. In fact, Sonny Landham, who also featured in this movie, would also run in a losing effort to become governor of Kentucky. That is a lot of governance, ladies and gentlemen. By the late 80s, both Alien and Predator were both popular intellectual properties. The two franchises' extraterrestrial similarities would later lead to the clever idea of a crossover. So 1989 would see the birth of the Alien vs Predator comic book series. This series, published by Dark Horse Comics, was only part of the plan, and as a result it would only be a matter of time until a movie and accompanying video games would also be in the works. In fact, more seeds were planted for this in 1990 with the release of Predator 2, which featured a scene depicting a xenomorph skull as one of the Predator's hunting trophies. Fox tasked Peter Briggs with the job role of writing an early script for the Alien vs Predator movie adaptation, but the script ended up being rejected, leaving the movie in development hell. The first feature film based on the concept would, as mentioned, not arrive until 2004, which was created under the leadership of Paul W.S. Anderson. Whilst it took years to get an Alien vs Predator movie, after the release of the comic book series, the world of video games was very different. There seems to be loads of different bloody Alien vs Predator games out there, spanning different systems and genres. The first of these would arrive on the Super Nintendo in 1993. This game, developed by Jordan, would also be a side-scrolling beat-em-up, but a title that is nowhere near the quality of the Capcom classic we are focusing in on today. That same year, the Game Boy would also receive its own Alien vs Predator game, subtitled Last of the Clan. This one, developed by ASK Kodansha, would actually be a platforming title, so very different from Capcom's future arcade offering. The next year of 1994 would see the Atari Jaguar receive an Alien vs Predator game. This one was a first-person shooter that was graphically very impressive for its time. which seems to be created from the same mould as the likes of Wolfenstein and Doom. Past this point, more Alien vs Predator games would continue to be made into the distant future, mostly for PC and mobile, until a whole glut of more games would arrive with the release of the 2004 movie. But of course we are not focusing on any of these games today, but instead the most important one from the franchise, 1994's Alien vs Predator, released by Capcom in the arcades. Yeah! This Capcom System 2 build beat-em-up that features up to 3-player cooperative play was a game that story and design was heavily inspired off of earlier drafts of the scrapped Alien vs Predator movie script. In fact, it was always of the intention that this game, along with the movie, were to be released around the same time. So the story, events and characters in this game differ wildly from what would be later depicted in the movie from 2004. The game features a choice of 4 different playable characters, consisting of Predator Warrior, a well-balanced powerful fighter with excellent reach, Predator Hunter, a fighter who lacks a quick recovery time but has a more powerful jumping dice attack, Major Dutch Schaefer, based on Arnold Schwarzenegger from the original Predator movie, whose attacks are extremely powerful yet slow. Major Dutch also has the ability to powerbomb enemies, much like Mike Hagar from Final Fight. Lastly, we have Lieutenant Lin Kurosawa, a human cyborg who can use a handgun, a katana, and execute several martial arts attacks. She is not as powerful as the other characters and has a shorter reach, but certainly is a lot faster. As you can probably guess, the Alien or Xenomorphs, as they are known as, take the role of the antagonists in this game. The game's plot features California being overrun with these hostile creatures. Dutch and Lin of the United States Colonial Marine Corps have been abandoned by their superiors, so find themselves in a situation where they are being swamped by alien drones. 2 predators join them in order to try and stop the alien infestation, and a quest is on as the players fight their way through 7 exciting stages, destroying the alien scum. The control layout is expanded from some of the previous Capcom beat-em-ups that we have looked at, which followed in the footsteps of Final Fight, which offered 8 directional joysticks along with an attack and a jump button. Alien vs Predator, on the other hand, features a 3rd button, one which is used for shooting. These projectile attacks add a further element to this title's gameplay compared to Capcom beat-em-ups that came before it. This additional mechanic means that players have an ammunition meter in addition to their life bars. Meters gradually refill when the characters are not firing shots, so all in all these projectile attacks must be used wisely. Other Capcom beat-em-up tropes make a return, such as melee weapons and items that can be picked up for points and health. Now we have rounded up what this game mechanically brings to the table, let's talk about Alien vs Predator's stage design. The game opens up on a dystopian looking street, much like in every other Capcom beat-em-up we have looked at on here thus far. I will say though that this time around the area looks more ravaged and gritty than ever before, further evoking a sense of terror and destruction as countless alien sprites enter the fray. The game begins with a relentless assault with enemy sprites coming in masses from both sides of the screen, along with doorways in the background, straight away insinuating to the player that this is a full-scale invasion, and dealing with this infestation is going to be no easy feat. At the end of the area, character dialogue is even presented on the screen, informing the player they need to fall back as there is more enemies than the characters can deal with. The characters then hide in a warehouse, but turn on the light to reveal that they have fallen into a trap and must take on a stage boss. Chrysalis has a longer life bar than previous enemies, and slightly wider attack range. After dealing with this quick stage, a cutscene is shown, depicting the characters discussing that it may be easier to travel through the sewers. So stage 2 starts out with the characters brawling and shooting their way through an underpass, before very quickly reaching a classic beat 'em up trope, a lift area with the storyline purposes of reaching the sewer below, so at least it was well placed in this game's case. After dealing with waves of alien scum, players enter a sliding door. Once inside, the quivering, mutilated remains of soldiers covering the floor instantly evoke the player with a sense of horror and impending doom with regards to what is about to happen next. This sets the scene for the next boss battle that takes place against a very scratchy looking Razor Claw. Ouch! The next scene depicts the game's protagonists noticing that aliens came from a hive so quickly come to the decision that they are going to destroy the nest, using an AP Bloody C. This unique looking stage depicts the fighters in combat aboard an armoured vehicle, with level design influence clearly taken from the train stages in earlier beat-em-up games. The use of the guns though really do make this sort of stage feel even more action-packed. After this very short stage, players reach the hive, thus entering an environment that looks more alien than ever before. Amusingly, there is a stage that looks similar to this in Streets of Rage 2, which Koshiro mentions was influenced by Contra and the original Alien movie. So it's interesting to see this concept come full circle and be used in an alien themed game. Characters descend deeper into the hive looking for the alien queen, facing off against bigger and more dangerous enemies as progress is made. This area also for the first time introduces the rather disgusting looking baby enemies that hatch from eggs and jump on the players' faces. Yet another great nod to the established license. There are more of these disgusting specimens as players progress into the stage boss area, where a battle takes place against the alien queen in her egg chamber. The intensity of this fight is ramped up too, due to the player's gunfire setting the area on fire. Fantastic design here. Stage 5 starts out with another cutscene featuring the players witnessing an alien ship coming down, which they decide to head towards and investigate. This stage, that takes place in what appears to be a jungle, sees the players facing off against multiple human foes this time around, who, due to the fact that they are armed, are even more dangerous than the alien opponents previously. Much to the disapproval of nature conservationists, like the previous stage, this one catches fire too, adding a little more drama to the boss area encounter that takes place against a human enemy in a mech suit. How bloody Japanese, eh? Stage 6 takes place in a laboratory, which the player has accessed via ramming it with an APC. The players have broken here to destroy the dangerous alien technology which has been appropriated by humans. This is just basically a very technodrome-y looking stage, with lifts and a variety of armed human opponents. As players progress, alien specimens are discovered in glass jars, who inevitably break out to try and hinder the player. The boss fight of this stage takes place on a moving lift against predator opponents this time around, rather than humans or xenomorphs like in previous stages. Another cutscene is shown announcing the players will be heading to the US Army docking port. It is also revealed that the US are using predators combined with parasitic xenomorphs to develop their weapons, enraging the predators. The opening portion of this stage takes place in a more technodrome-y looking scenery, and as expected, nearing the end of the game there are more enemies to take on than any previous point in the game. Players must deal with onslaughts of humans and xenomorphs alike, along with many previous stage bosses resurfacing here to take on yet again. Classic beat 'em up stuff really. Players then manage to board a spaceship and fight within its decks, with the challenge increasing as the stage progresses. On this stage's observation deck, the game's evil human general is killed by the alien queen, who must be defeated, this time with every xenomorph under the sun turning up to try and stop you. Her complete annihilation brings Aliens vs Predator to a close. Now, as you would have just seen from everything I've just shown you, and what we have discussed, Alien vs Predator is certainly a very different flavour to any of the previous Capcom beat-em-ups we have looked at up until this point. Graphically and stylistically, the game has a more mature theme than the titles we have looked at before, and the game's gritty nature adds to the game's overall character and charm. Pair the game's unique stylistic approach with the fact that projectile attacks are part of this game's experience, it means that overall the Alien vs Predator is perhaps the most unique and refined Capcom beat-em-up of them all, topping the Final Fight games, Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, and Captain Commando. The game is a great title packed with atmosphere, substance and style, further emphasising why this game has been requested for me to cover so much. The game was critically adored at the time for obvious reasons, meaning that no one really had a bad word to say about this game on release. It is a crying shame the game never received a home port, which at one point in time nearly became a reality. However, it was cancelled as the game was being developed to run on the Sega 32X, a gaming platform hardly anyone bought into. Despite the fact that the game is technically a licensed game that was locked to the arcades, Rather surprisingly, the game still has some legacy that is impactful on the broader spectrum of gaming right up until this day. Lieutenant Kurosara, for example, would make cameos in Street Fighter Alpha 2, Street Fighter 3 Second Impact, and Namco Cross Capcom. It is also said that Capcom were proud enough of her design for this game that much of her design would be reused when creating Ibuki for Street Fighter 3, so Capcom never forgot Alien vs Predator completely. Away from Capcom, the title was influential too. For example, the creator of Treasure's Guardian Heroes cites that Alien vs Predator was the main influence behind his game, and the makers of River City Ransom Underground claim influence from AVP 2. Moving into the futuristic year of 2017, a toy company known as NECA would gain the license to the video game, which would result in them producing action figures featuring packaging based on the game's arcade cabinet artwork. Nice. All in all, it would be difficult to dispute the fact that Alien vs Predator is one of the greatest beat-em-ups ever made, which was a breath of fresh air in the genre, where games often felt very similar. Alien vs Predator though stands on its own 2 feet as a unique game that everyone should make the effort to experience. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was the mad story of Alien vs Predator, Capcom's greatest ever beat-em-up and a great arcade exclusive. A topic that was chosen by the fantastic people who choose to back this channel on Patreon. Thanks to your help, I will be able to continue to produce detailed videos like this into the future, so I'd like to thank you all very much for that. If you too would like more say over what I produce, want to vote in content polls, join my exclusive Discord, get bonus videos, see your content earlier than everyone else and completely advertisement free, then you may want to consider joining us on Patreon. In regards to some of these wonderful people, huge thank yous and shout outs go out to Sebastian Velez, Carl Johnson, Heo Polo Lopez, Joseph Rasmek, Doug Perkins, Ego, Alafia Swanson, Angel Light 85, Asobi Kwang DX, Azrael Rarakai, Brian Barry, Cambo Rambo 82, Carlos Domingos, Computer Man, Daniel Daly, ECU Professor, Gary Pinkett, Gianni V Santizi, Glenny Glenn, Hamid Musa, House of the Ted, Joaquin Varela, Jordan Durant, Keith Ferguson, Lars Zondervan, Matthew Robinson, Michael Cullix, Nick Daniels, Philip Manth, Prince Knight, Prince Zana, Spuzmat B, TOG Driver, Synth Spaces, A Murder of Crows, Adam Castin, Adrian Hannington, Andis Reinsberg, Andrew Bazansky, Andrew Pearson, Antonio Rodriguez, Bernard Dengi, Bubba Kitty, Chris Fisk, Chris Margarine, Chris Cool, Craig Jenkins, Crazy Yao, Dan Barlow Jr., Dan Van Dam, David Bell, Francesco Lacriola, Gregory Smoradiewicz, Hans Christian, Ivan M, Jake Whitford, James Bishop, James McDonald, JB, Jazzy Tay, Joel, John Bates, Casey Wright, Kings Knight, Langston Miller, Lobster Puncher, Luis Viant, Luke Canava, Marco Soto, Marvin Areliga, Master Jinx, Matthew Rindle, Bean Machine Dean, Michael Hall, Mike Bruno, Noob, Paul Elliott, Posty XL, Punky Dudester, Retroversion.com, Richard Stu Stewart, Rick67, Ron Studd, Sarah Powell, Soraya H. Al Sarayi, Stephen Lewis, Time Lord Soundwave, Tom Elliott, Flaming Renee, Wazzo Jugs. I think I'm starting to get a lot better at reading your names now. Your names are slowly being embedded in my mind, so thank you to all of you so much, along with all of my other beautiful patrons. Ooh, yeah.